What's up everyone, Donny here. I just wanted to post a quick video from my kitchen. I was going to post an update a few weeks ago. It's just like an update on everything that's been going on because it's pretty hectic, but it was all pretty overwhelming and I sort of just I couldn't focus on anything at the time. Yeah, I got up this morning feeling really good and I've sort of been avoiding even making this video. But I'm feeling pretty good and I just sort of want to get it out of the way and get it off my chest, and I think if I sort of film a video of me just sort of ranting about what's been going on the last few weeks, it'll probably get a lot of it out of my head and sort of make me feel a bit better. So basically, a few weeks ago, I was feeling pretty sick. I had been for about 4 days, for about 4 or 5 days straight, I'd been sweating the bed every single night. Like, I'd go to bed and wake up an hour later and I'd be completely drenched. And this went on for a few nights and was sort of starting to freak me out again. The only time it happened this extreme was when I originally got glandular fever a couple of years ago, and I would, for a couple of weeks straight, I would drench the sheets. I'd have to sleep on a towel. I'd drench the towel and I'd have a mattress set up outside of the bed, and I'd go and sleep on that and then saturate that as well. So this started happening again a few weeks ago. I went to the doctor basically just to get a blood test, just to see where everything was at, to see if I didn't know what was going on, and I sort of just wanted to get to the bottom of it, find out if there was anything funny happening. So I went to the doctor and got a blood test. About a week after getting these tests, I got a phone call from the hospital, basically just telling me that they wanted me to come in to the hematology department and basically just have a chat about my results. So I was like, yeah, sweet as, sure. Went in for my appointment. My mum came along with me to the appointment. I'd been working for our sort of family business for the past 6 months, so she just sort of wanted to come to the hospital with me in the morning and maybe get a bit of time off work. So she came along, and I got to the hospital and went to the front desk and sort of asked where I was supposed to go, and they said it wasn't in the hospital. I had to go to a street running along the back of the hospital, and there'd be a little red brick house. So I was like, sweet as. Walked around the street and walked up the hill, found this red brick house. Walked to the entrance, and above the door it said cancer clinic, and I didn't think much of it. I just sort of whatever, thinking it might be sort of linked to the hematology department. And so I went inside and got my appointment, sat down, got called in. I sat down with the doctor and just started to make chit chat with him. He didn't seem that friendly at first. He seemed very serious. I sat down and he started asking me questions just about how I'd been and how I'd been unwell and everything. And so I explained to him that I'd been sweating. I'd lost a bit of weight. I lost around 4 or 5 kilos. And then he looked at my bloods and told me to hop up on the bed so he could feel my organs. And he started pushing around on my stomach. And then he looked at me and he said, "All right, grab a seat, Donovan." So I took my seat, and he had a very, very serious look on his face. I still didn't think much. I was absolutely sort of oblivious to what was going on. And then the whole atmosphere and the whole tone of the room just completely dropped. And my mum was sitting opposite me, and he looked at me and he said, "Donovan, looking at your bloods, your platelets are low. Your white blood cell count is low. It says here you've had EBV virus in the past, which are all massive warning signs. It's looking to me like you've probably got lymphatic problems or bone marrow problems." At which point I completely understood what he was saying. And so I said, "So you're saying I've got lymphatic cancer?" And the oncologist said, "Well, I can't say for sure, but things aren't looking good. We're going to need to get you in for a CT scan this week, basically to confirm if you do or not. But yeah, it's not looking that great." Every bit of life just drained straight out of my body. It was like a bomb was dropped. It was ridiculous. And so I asked him, how often the CT scans come back clean. I wanted to know sort of what the likelihood was that I'd be okay if it was just like a precaution that they were doing. And he looked at me and he said it would be a miracle if they came back clean. And to sort of try and lighten up this mood, he said, well, miracles can happen sometimes. And then he looked at me and my mum and said, I'll give you guys a moment for this to sink in. And he got up and left the room. I was just sort of freaking out. I didn't think I would deal with it the way I did. I've always thought, if I was sort of, I'd always be pretty calm with bad news. But I was not calm. It was, it sucked. I looked at my mum, and I think it was my mum's face which sort of broke me. I didn't want to cause any pain for her, and I was absolutely terrified myself because this doctor had basically said that he thinks I have lymphatic cancer. So I just went and hugged my mum. I was apologizing. I just started apologizing to my mum. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. There was tears and everything. It was like, didn't sort of know what to think. And then the doctor came back in and he's like, all right, well, I'll just get you to fill out these forms and then you can sort of get on your way. And I was looking at the forms. I couldn't even focus on what my birth date or what my name was. It was all blurry. I could barely write. My hand was shaking. I really sort of faced it like a bit of a pussy, to be honest. I completely freaked out after that, and then me and my mum left, and I just wanted to get out of there. I just wanted to go for a walk initially. I just wanted to be anywhere but in that office. I just wanted to be away from it. I just wanted to walk away and just not have anything to do with that. So we left the cancer clinic after that. I was holding my mum's hand for the first time since I was like 6 years old, holding my mum's hand, gripping it, walking down the street towards my girlfriend's work, which was just across the road from the hospital. I was gripping her hand and went into my partner's shop. She works at an organic produce store in Tauranga where I live. I grabbed my girlfriend and we walked outside, and I told her everything that the doctor had told me, and she started crying. She was freaking out. It was all a whole lot of emotion. It sucked. I had no idea what to do. Then after telling my girlfriend, we went inside and I found her mother, who is amazing. I told her everything that had happened, and she was sort of the first bit of hope, I guess, for me. We went inside. She jumped straight on the phone to my doctors, asking them for my bloods to be sent through. She wanted all the information that they had. As soon as she got my bloods and everything, she looked at them. She was like, right, we're going to get on to fixing these. We'll get this, and this. Put me on a bunch of different herbs. Basically told me a bunch of stuff I had to start eating immediately. My diet became extremely strict again, pretty much the same as when I initially had glandular fever. So for that week that I was waiting for the tests, was absolute hell. It was the worst week of my life. I was like, in the middle of the day and stuff, I was just sort of falling asleep just because I couldn't handle the stress of everything that was going on. It was quite interesting. It was the most terrified I've been in my entire life, and mainly the biggest reason was because I didn't want to hurt my girlfriend or my mum, or any of my close friends or family who I love. During the week I was waiting for the tests, I had constant anxiety. I had pains in my chest. I was feeling pains through my body. I wasn't sure if this was like just from the stress or if it were genuine pains. My heart rate was increased pretty much the whole time. I was on edge, and I was just trying to do anything to distract myself. Like, we moved our bedroom out into the lounge and set up like a fort and stuff, and yeah, just cool stuff like that. And my girlfriend was like really good with looking after me, and sort of we went for walks and stuff together, and just anything to keep my mind off it, because it was just the most overwhelming experience, and I was 95% convinced that I had cancer. But yeah, amongst the week where I was waiting for the tests as well, I went through a lot of thoughts, and it really put everything into perspective. Like, I I've suffered anxiety in the past and been nervous or scared about like little situations, social situations, plans I've got, ideas, and been too scared to sort of go through with them. This put everything into perspective because I'd never felt this scared before in my life, that everything else that I'd ever been scared of just seemed like nothing. I would have rather been in any other situation than the situation I was in. I felt comfortable talking to anybody during this week. I was rocking up, starting conversations with just random people I noticed. I guess just to take my mind off stuff. I wasn't nervous, I wasn't scared, I wasn't shy during this week. But I was terrified at the same time of my situation and just wanted to be away from it. And I also noticed that the things I'd always sort of worried about getting somewhere else or my life not being good enough, and when I was going through all these thoughts that I was probably going to have lymphatic cancer, all I wanted, I was looking back at what I had before this week and like realized how sweet I've got it. Like, I've got no worries. You know, I live in New Zealand, I've got a beautiful partner, I live in a beautiful place, and all I wanted was to be able to just lie on the grass outside my house with my partner in the sunshine and just be well and just be rid of all of these feelings, and the fact that I might possibly have cancer. So it really put everything into perspective. So eventually Wednesday rolled around, I got a phone call from the hospital telling me that they wanted me to come in on Thursday to have my CT scan, which was like, I'd been in suspense up until this point, and I was like, okay, great, tomorrow we get some answers. At the same time, I was freaking out because it was like, okay, this is going to be confirmed. Like, they're going to tell me that I've got cancer. So I went to the meeting Thursday morning with myself, my partner, my mum came along, and my partner's mum came along, which was great. They were really great support, and I was just so thankful that they came along with me. They eventually called my name, they called me in. I went down and went into this room with this lovely young lady who basically said before they do the CT scan, they wanted to do an ultrasound, basically just to check all my organs and not do the CT scan if they didn't have to, because it would have been unnecessary radiation. So I lay down on the bed, this lady felt around my organs, and she said, well, she told me that my spleen had gone down. My spleen had previously been enlarged. My spleen had gone down to its normal size. My liver was feeling fine, and all my lymph nodes were back to their normal size. So this was sort of great news. Everyone was sort of feeling relieved. Every time she opened her mouth to say something, everyone was on edge, like, shit, what's it gonna be? And she started scanning my organs. She scanned my liver and said, it's looking healthy. Yes, great. She scanned my lymph nodes. They're looking good. Scanned my spleen, and she basically said, it's all looking healthy. There's nothing sort of cancerous looking going on here. This is probably just a viral infection. At which point it was this massive, massive weight had been lifted. I just felt relieved. I just wanted to go and just exist. I walked out of the hospital that day feeling like a completely new person. I feel completely refreshed from the experience. It was pretty, it was extremely terrifying, and literally since that experience, nothing has... like, I haven't been scared of anything since then. I have actually quit my previous job. I was working for my parents' business for the past 6 months. Basically, they work with a lot of paints and chemicals, spray painting kitchens. So as soon as I got the news that I've possibly got lymphatic cancer, I had to stop working. I couldn't be around any of the chemicals that'd possibly just make me sicker. And as well, I had been feeling a bit unwell working there, breathing in paint dust and fumes and chemicals. It wasn't the type of environment that I wanted to be in. So I left, and the last couple of weeks, I've pretty much just been chilling out and getting myself well. They still thought that there might be something up with my bone marrow, so I went back to the oncologist, and they wanted to do a bone marrow biopsy, and I'd been doing a bit of work on my bloods, so I just told them that I wanted to have a blood test before having to get a bone marrow biopsy, just to sort of see where everything was at. And they asked me how I'd been working on my bloods, and I told them that I'd been working on my bloods through diet, at which point they sort of laughed at me, looked at me like I was a bit of a kook, a bit of a hippie, and they were like, all right then, sent me away to go get a blood test. And basically what I've been doing for my bloods, my platelets were quite low, which was what was alarming for them. So I had been, my partner's mum put me on some natural herbal medication to help raise my platelets, and I was on a few different supplements for my bloods, as well as eating lots of papaya, because papaya is great for raising your platelets apparently. So I've been smashing back the papaya. I'd cleaned my diet up, was just on a completely alkaline diet. I've just been on pretty much eating salads, soups, green juices, and very healthy smoothies. So they took my bloods and they called me back later that day, and I was pretty nervous for the phone call, but they called me up and the lady sounded pretty baffled that I'd managed to raise my platelets from 128 the previous week to 145 just from diet, which was a massive improvement. And she said, yeah, it looks like you're probably not going to need a bone marrow biopsy. There's nothing to suggest that you've got cancer. So that was like the final sort of relief for me. So since quitting my previous job and sort of getting healthy and everything, I have been needing to source some sort of income. So basically, I had really good luck after this. I got a phone call from an energy company last week wanting to have an interview with me. I hadn't even applied for a job there, but I found out that one of my girlfriend's friends worked there, who I haven't even met, and she talked me up to the employers there, and they gave me a phone call, asked me to come in. I sat down with them. It was sort of a trial afternoon with a bunch of different people. They sort of trialed each one of us. They called me back. They quite liked me, so I'm actually going in there for another interview today, and everything's sort of looking positive there. So I'm really stoked that I'll probably get like a sales job for this company for a little while, just to get some sort of income in the meantime. And as well as that, I have a whole bunch of other plans. Since all of this stuff happening, I have an extra motivation, basically to make more videos, do more stuff that I'm passionate about, getting my YouTube going a bit more, and working on a business idea with me and my partner. I'm hopefully going to be in this job for just a short while I make a bit of income, basically just to fund all of the ideas that I've currently got. But yeah, it's been a massive eye-opener. As far as the sickness, it is quite possible that what was sort of going on was a glandular fever relapse, as I'd sort of let my diet slip a little bit. Since having glandular fever, I have had to eat very, very clean to sort of stay on top and maintain good health. So I'd sort of started eating a bit more fried food, just eating more sort of junky vegan food. And since having glandular fever as bad as I had it, literally if I eat fried food too much, I will feel very ill. So I've cleaned my diet up hugely and I'm feeling way better. The sweats have stopped. I need to put on a bit more weight. I'm sort of aiming to put on 5 kilos within the next month or so. But yeah, this is basically just a video I wanted to post, just talking about the last few weeks, just to get that off my chest, because it's sort of just been on my brain and I felt like I just needed to spill it out. And I've got that interview today and I just sort of wanted to get it out of my head. So thank you very much for watching and listening to me ramble about my last few weeks. Have a beautiful day, everybody.